Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are on a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Arn. And of course, we couldn't do it without the Hall of Famer himself, the founder of the Four Horsemen, the creator of the Spine Buster. He is the enforcer. He's double A. He's Arn Anderson. Arn, how are you, man?
It's a new year, isn't it?
It is. I haven't seen you since last year. How's it going?
It's doing good. We had a nice quiet time at the house. Didn't do anything, which is the way we wanted it. I'm sure the mansion in Huntsville was rocking and rolling.
Oh, no. We had a big New Year's Eve party planned, but we canceled it because of all the COVID concerns and just had a rather low-key day here with a handful of folks, eating some barbecue, watching some football. And as folks are listening to this, they're wondering what's going to happen this coming Monday night. Is it going to be Orange Bulldogs, because Tony's abandoned them, as you know, or is it going to be Conrad's Alabama? And right now, as we're talking, Georgia is a 3-point favorite, which I could not believe. What say you? Would you take Georgia in the points or Alabama in the points, or would you go with Georgia?
What idiot put that together?
Several different sports books I looked this morning have Georgia as a 3-point favorite, which blew me away considering the way the last one went.
It is absolutely insane to do that. And all you do is just piss Alabama off. I wish Georgia was 15-point underdogs, to be honest with you.
Yes, exactly.
Give them some motivation to play angry, play over their heads, and not even that, just play up to their potential. They have yet to put 4 quarters together that I've seen, even though they bowled over Michigan.
Yes, they did.
Still, in the third and fourth quarter, they weren't as dominant as they were in the first half, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand Georgia. At times it feels like it's almost two different teams. Every team, both teams, by the way, are strong and dominant, and I think it's going to be a close game. I know I've got some Bammer friends who think it's going to be a blowout. I do not. I think it's going to come down to that last drive or two, and I'm excited to see it. But I got to say, I'd take Bama in the 3 points, as silly as that is.
Well, it's easy for you to be an Alabama fan, just like the millions and millions that are. I went ahead and barked before the last Georgia-Alabama encounter, trying to rev up the team. That went absolutely nowhere. So I'm going to sit in silence. I'm going to be humble and hope for the best. Let me put it to you this way. If both teams play up to their potential, it could be a very exciting game. And I don't want to see 12-3 game.
Yeah.
Have a big, that's terrible to watch. I'd like to see a 34-31, something like that game myself.
Well, it's going to be fun. We hope you guys tune in this coming Monday night. I guess there's wrestling on, but there's football on. Watch that. And by all means on Wednesday, be sure to check out AEW. You can see what Arn Anderson's up to, probably hitting some people with some finger guns. So let's jump into it. December of 1987. You know, when you think back on all things Jim Crockett Promotions and you think about, 85, 86, 87, most people point to 87 as being the year that things started come apart. And of course, we know in 88, the company's going to sell. Did you think 87 started strong, or was there a time in 87 where you remember thinking that was it? That was the tipping point.
No, I thought everything was still running pretty smooth in 87. What in particular are you talking about? Do you know?
Well, I'm just saying in terms of, I know the spending got out of control, and you guys ran certain shows in 86 when you were doing the Great American Bash that, the top line was there, but the bottom line wasn't, because maybe Dusty had overbooked some of the talent, musicians and things like that. So we weren't minding our pennies, as my grandmother used to say. But in 87, it does feel like with WrestleMania 3, there's now pressure for everyone to step their game up. Did you think that was an issue for promoters? I mean, did you feel like WrestleMania 3 was this watershed moment for the professional wrestling business?
Well, I'm sure the crew on the road was working their ass off and giving you quality. I got a feeling there was probably just out of a pompous mindset, we were still running markets that we should have left alone. We might have been going to places that we knew weren't going to draw, kind of in the back of our mind, but we thought, hey, we're Jim Crockett Promotions, we're the NWA, we're on a roll. We got this incredible, talent pool, and these cards are incredible that we can draw anywhere. And we started to see probably that that's just not necessarily true. There were different markets that you go to that had been dead. Back in those days, when a territory was dead, like at this particular time, Bill Watts' territory was pretty much dead. The Kansas City territory was dead, buried, seagulls sitting on top of it. And I think that we just continuing to go in there and take those private jets, which had pretty good cost involved in them. It was great. It was convenient for the talent, but man, there was a lot of days that jet ate up all your profits. I would imagine.
Yeah. Hard to argue. Let's talk about where we are in January here of 87. We're going to get started with a little show on January 3rd. It's a television taping, of course, TBS. We would see Rick, Ollie, and Arn run out and jump Tim Horner, and then throw the referee to the floor, and then gang up on Barry Windham. And that's when Blanchard hits the old slingshot suplex on Windham. Flair's going to start slapping Windham before the Horsemen leave the ring. And then it's time for a promo from the Horsemen. And we're going to hear from them. Again, this is the 605 show. Let's take a listen to this.
Got all that momentum going out of the rope. You don't know which way you're going when you come out there. Oh, look at this. He's got a head full of tight. Now, wait a minute. That's going to be it. The bell rings. He got the pin, but like Barry, you saw it. No. He's talking about, I said it myself, just looking at the NFL. Barry's talking about the tights, and Barry's come over to ringside now. There's Barry. Complaining about pulling the tights, Barry Windham. him again and again. They just saw with the 4 horsemen who's best. Well, we talked about the 4 horsemen together. Get that garbage out of the ring, huh? And as we take a look at what happened once again, the 4 horsemen have gathered around the podium right here. Tully Blanchard is still the world television champion. It was a great match. There's no doubt about it. And then don't mess with the horsemen! Don't mess with the horsemen! Words from Tully Blanchard as we take a look once again into replay what happened to Barry Windham as all 4, actually 5, ganged up on him. Here's the slingshot. Down he goes. Tully Blanchard still the world TV champion. And JJ, if you want to go for the 10 grand, if you want to go for the belt, this is part of the price that you got to pay. The slingshot suplex that, to my knowledge, nobody has ever gotten up from. Damn, step in here and get a camera on that ring. I want everybody to see what this all about. When you pay the price, you lay there. Stick your nose where it doesn't belong. You got no business interfering in my records. I beat you, Oil, and left you laying like a scrap of heaped up metal. The bottom line is, when you jump on Tully Blanchard for the World TV title, you're jumping on more than anybody out there knows how to handle. Woo! Just a little word to the wise, you overdressed cue ball, Nikita Koloff. That can happen to you because, you see, you're the only champion on that side left. Think about it, Nikita. Tony Schiavone, one question. Where's Dusty Rhodes today, JJ? He's probably at the cattle barn in Amarillo buying cattle, but I hope he's watching a TV someplace. We didn't see anybody stampeding to the ring to help Big Barry. You know why? Nobody likes to ride from the station to the hospital in the ambulance, courtesy of the Horsemen. Okay, fans, when we come back.
So how about that? You overdressed cue ball.
Now, he could have took some of Animal's money and bought like a V-neck sweater or 2, right?
I would think, you know.
He was a bit of a fashionista.
Oh, okay.
If I remember correctly, he dressed, you know, a little hipper than the rest of us. Go ahead, sir.
No, go ahead.
Well, here's one thing, you know, and when we do these chronologically month by month, and it brings a lot of memories, you know, hearing the promos and all the stuff going on. It just reminds me of kind of the chronological order of how guys walked in. Now it's a new year. You got a brand new opponent, 6'6", 260 pounds, Barry Windham. He's like a friggin' gazelle. But that's the first that I remember. I mean, doing our pods every week, that Barry's kind of got right in the middle, angle-wise, with the Horsemen. So it's something new, it's something fresh.
I feel strongly that saving money is important. You know, if it's not something we worry about now, boy, we are really going to worry about it later. And I want to help you get out of debt faster and do it with cheaper monthly payments. I'm talking to you if you're in a 30-year loan. Now is the time to take years off of your loan. We're routinely helping our listeners cut 5, 10, even 15 years off their loan. And you can do this without perfect credit, with no money out of pocket. You've just got to start at savewithconrad.com. Yeah, and it's really cool, too, when you think about, you know, all the fun stuff that Barry's going to get to do here with Jim Crockett Promotions. But he's really just burst on the scene here in late 86. And now we're starting off 87 with a bang. He's brushing up against the Horsemen. And I think we're not too far removed from some other new names making their way in. But before we get there, let's play this promo from that very same show. It's the Andersons here on January 3rd.
Back with the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, Ollie and Arn Anderson. You know, there's a lot of people I've been looking for. People saying, well, maybe your time is running out, Ollie. I'll tell you this. Before my time completely runs out, I got a list of people that I'm going to get. And you know the Andersons just don't talk to hear themselves make noise. I'm talking about you, Dusty Rhodes. I'm talking about this U.S. Tag Team Champions. I'm talking about the big fat cowboy down in Oklahoma. I'm talking there's a few people. You know who you are. You're on the list. You better watch it. 87, I'm going to make my mark right on your face. Well, Rock, don't worry about time running out. I can assure you of one thing, though. My time has just begun. Dusty Rhodes, for the longest time that I can remember, you always stood for the American way. You see, you said, it doesn't matter if you're born poor, you can rise up and become somebody. I will be your guiding light. The American dream, Dusty Rhodes. Now you've told Nikita Koloff, Nikita, although you're not from this country, you can be the American way. You can be Americanized. You can be the U.S. champion. Well, Nikita, you are the U.S. champion. But Dusty Rhodes, the bottom line is, Brock's been threatening you all year. I've not been too silent about that same fact. Well, now, Dusty Rhodes, I'm going to make it a personal issue. Forget about the other horsemen. I'll take it upon myself to end your career. And Nikita Koloff, rest assured of one thing. You ask anybody across this country, check my track record. Every time I, myself, Double A, has made a threat, it's come through. So, Nikita, you take all those big muscles, and you remember one thing, Nikita. I'm hungry. I'm starving to death to be a champion, because when I open my bag and there's nothing but a pair of boots and a pair of tights, and I look across the room, I see Tully with that championship belt. I see Blair with that championship belt. I'm a little ashamed. And Nikita Koloff, a 260-pound man, one of the four horsemen, is not going to be ashamed by anybody, especially you. Tully, eat him up. Show him what the four horsemen are all about.
Go to the ring for our title.
So how about that? You're continuing to call out the old cue ball. So looks like you're getting a Russian sickle sometime soon, if I had to guess.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm asking for one. That's for damn sure.
It's the 3rd, so that's the weekend. You know what that means. A little syndicated action. This is from Worldwide, another promo from the
Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Arn, Ollie Anderson. Ollie first. Dusty Rhodes says that 87 is going to see the end of you, Ollie Anderson.
Yeah, well, maybe. I'll tell you what, it's hard to catch a guy when he's running all the time. Rhodes has got the fastest bicycle in town. I talked about being the end of your life in 86, and the only reason you're still around gabbing is because you were always running, and putting people in front of us. And you make a prediction about me being out in 87, you and what army? I'll tell you this, Rhodes, 87 comes, you be here, I'm going to be here. But I guarantee this, one of us is going to be done in 87. One of us is sure going to be done.
Arn.
Cottle, I'll tell you one person who's not going to be through in 87, and that's Arn Anderson. I don't care who else retires, who else gets hurt, who else gets crippled. I'll tell you one thing, I'm sick and tired of not being a champion. You say Dusty Rhodes, a year and a half ago, I was standing on the sand flapping my yap. Well, Dusty Rhodes, in a year and a half, I came a long way, didn't I? I came a long way because I got right here something you'll never know about, Dusty Rhodes. It's being an Anderson. It's restoring the name Anderson where it should have been. You see Nikita Koloff, you go ahead and chase Ric Blair, but the whole time you're chasing, I'm going to be sneaking up behind you. One day, Nikita Koloff, you're going to wake up and you're going to be just like me right now. You're going to be standing there naked. Well, I'm not going to be naked very long, Nikita Koloff. Rest assured, I will be a champion, not because I want to be, because I have to be.
All right, fans, now to the ring.
So fun. I love that. Not because I want to be, because I have to be. That became like a little low-key catchphrase for you here in the winter of 86, did it not?
You know, if we would have been smart about marketing, that'd have been a t-shirt, wouldn't it?
It would have been, for sure. And you know what? It might be now over boxofgimmicks.com. I'm not sure. Let's go see. But in the meantime, let's remind everybody that the beat goes on, as Macho Man used to say. That was your morning, right? But come January 3rd in the evening time, or you're in the main event in Charlotte, back home at the Coliseum, it's Dusty, Nikita, and the Road Warriors on one side and all the Horsemen on the other side. Man, that feels like, I mean, that's as loaded of a main event as you can get. Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair in singles matches have main evented all over the world, but now you've got Nikita Koloff fresh off of Starrcade and his incredible run that he had in 86 with Magnum TA. The Road Warriors are arguably the biggest draw in wrestling at that point. And then you got the rest of the Horsemen. Man, you talk about some protagonists and antagonists, Ollie and Arn and Tully. The good old days, man. What a main event here in Charlotte.
Yeah. Have you got any numbers on how that drew?
I don't. You know, it's not reported on that day in particular, but the next day you guys are in Baltimore with 6,000 fans there. So there's no sort of winter slump for you guys.
Well, I'm sure it did really well. And looking at, you know, those odds, that team, it's like, good Lord, who can beat those guys, you know, as a team? And it probably, if you check the records, nobody did that particular night. It was an overpowering, overwhelming group of 4. That's for sure.
Let's remind everybody that you've got another TV taping on January 5th. This one is going to be in Spartanburg. You're going to be doing a promo there on the 5th. That night, you're in Greenville, South Carolina, taking on the Baron von Raschke. What was that like, wrestling Baron as a singles?
That's all they need to know.
It's all about the claw, right?
Absolutely. Baron was a really, really nice man, really, really sweet human being. Just, a very quiet guy and great employee, funny guy. He reminded me of Dean Malenko. He was so dry. He would hit you with a joke and you didn't even realize that he was telling you a joke till a second later. And you went, oh shit, that was funny. But your delayed reaction made you feel foolish. Really. And a lot of people don't know, but he was an incredible amateur wrestler from Nebraska.
Pretty smart fella too, huh?
Think so. Yeah. School teacher.
Yeah. That was a thing or two about a thing or two. And so do the Andersons. Here's a promo from Pro, the other syndicated show at the time for JCP. And you're in a Gold's Gym tank top. So, this is fun.
Okay, we are here with the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, Ollie and Arn Anderson. All these people, when they see the Andersons, there's only one thing that means to them. It means that the Andersons should be the United States Tag Team Wrestling Champions. And I want to take this chance right now to warn those guys that have got those belts. It's just a little bit of time before Garvin and Windham are going to have to face the Andersons. And when they do, there's going to be some switching going on. Those belts are coming over this side. Tony Schiavone, that's all well and good. But I've told you, Nikita Koloff, I'm just rehashing what I've already told you. You've got Americanized. Dusty Rhodes has told you. Get a Mercedes, Nikita. Get a Corvette. Get a dress shirt. Get your pretty American girl, and you're cool. Well, Nikita, it takes a little bit more than that to become Americanized. You see, you got that U.S. heavyweight title, but all you ever seem to talk about is Ric Flair this, Ric Flair that. You're going to be the new world's heavyweight champion, well, Nikita. Remember what got you there. You see, the U.S. Heavyweight Championship is a stepping stone to the World Heavyweight title. But, Nikita, you don't want to talk about that. You don't want to think about it. I don't even think you like to bring it out. I don't think you're proud of it. Well, that's the only singles title left. You see, Fletcher's World Television title. The 4 Horsemen, just as they've always been, are going to be champions, Nikita. So I'm picking on you. Everybody says, how can you pick on Nikita Koloff? He's got those big chops, those big arms, that big neck. Well, Nikita, do I look like a pygmy? Rest assured, I'm going to do something on my own. That way I know nothing will happen. Nothing will go wrong. It's going to be one-on-one, Nikita, and I'm going to take that U.S. Heavyweight Championship, whether they want to give me a title shot or not. They got to, because I'm demanding it.
For Bob Cottle, I'm Tony Schiavone. See you next week on NWA Pro Wrestling.
Hey, that's pretty cool. You get to close the show out too, calling your shot. I like that. Whether they want to or not, I'm demanding it.
And I got to call myself not a pygmy. Can you even say pygmy?
I don't even think that's a word that I've heard in decades. Yeah, that's
it's little bitty people somewhere across the ocean, right?
I mean, I remember Crocodile Dundee, but I don't have a lot of experience in Alabama with that. I don't know if that's a surprise or not. You guys would record something called Super Towns on the Super Station in Philadelphia on January 10th. 11,000 folks are here. It's a sellout, and it's going to be Barry Windham pinning you with a sunset flip into the ring. 15 minutes and 5 seconds. Of course, after the match, you're not done. You drop him with the gourd buster. Do you remember that? January 10th, that match with Barry in Philly?
I really don't. But I can tell you this, he was as good as anybody. He's on that from a performance, just a purely performance standard. He's on that top 5. I don't know where he's on that list, 1, 3, 5, I don't know. But man, could he go. He was so smooth. He was, and he was a guy that never went to the gym ever, but he was strong. Those Blackjack Mulligan genetics were just in him. He could, superplex animal off the top rope and all kind of just incredible feats of strength in the ring. He never blew up. He would drink all night long if he was in the mood. And the next day, when everybody else was felt terrible and horrible, you never knew it. He could go 60 minutes. He was just one of those rare birds that was made for this business. He had all of it. And let me just throw this in. The girls loved him. He was a big, handsome fella.
Yeah, I don't think that's a surprise. It's also not a surprise that you and Tully did a promo on January 10th for Worldwide. Let's take a listen.
There's right here with us two of the four horsemen, the world television champion Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson right here. Arn, Ric Flair, the world champion, but you don't have a championship belt around that way.
Bob, do you know that feeling that nags at you when you don't have any underwear on? It's a constant nagging. That's what I wake up with every single morning. Nobody has to tell me that I'm not a champion, because I wake up every single morning with morning sickness. It's just like I was pregnant. It makes me sick to my stomach. But today I'm a happy man, Bob, because a little earlier I saw about a 320-pound distraction. Just the distraction I need for you, Nikita Koloff. It's called Pietrov. You see, while you're going to war with him, and then you turn around and you're chasing Ric Flair, I've never one time heard you mention Double A Arn Anderson. Well, Nikita, you're not hungry anymore. You figure you've got the belt, you've got the U.S. title. Now let's set it on a shelf and chase Ric Flair. Well, Nikita Koloff, the whole time you're chasing Flair, the whole time you're ducking Pietrov, I'm going to be waiting for that little in, just that little bit of incentive. I'm going to slide in there. You'll wake up one morning naked without that belt. And for Barry Windham and Ronnie Garvin, I'll tell you, Ronnie Garvin, why you weren't there to jump to his aid. You remember that broke hand you suffered at the hands of the Horsemen last year. Tell him, Tully.
Tully, look at that.
Bob Connell, short and sweet, 1987, $10,000. The World Television Championship, all on the line. Anytime you want to set foot in the ring with Tully Blanchard, one of the four horsemen. Barry Windham, don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong, because you get smacked like a little baby. Whack, whack, whack. Just to teach you, the four horsemen are for real. And just take it from Dusty Rhodes or Ronnie Garvin, people that have paid the price before.
All right, fans, now back to the ring.
Man, I love that whole you're going to wake up naked stuff. You're a man obsessed with getting the championship title. And I like that. If this was a quote unquote traditional sport, guys are obsessed with championships and titles. Why shouldn't you be the same? Right?
100%. I can feel the tension without ever looking, not even be able to see Ollie's face on these promos. But you got to think in the back of his head, he's thinking, I'm out here pushing for these tag title shots, and he's pushing for the U.S. title shots. I think it was starting to gnaw at him a little bit. Had to, right?
Had to.
Just, I can feel the tension, just like one computer to another. It seems like if I'm Ollie, I'm going, hey, wait a minute, are we on the same page? I'm sure we're going to get there.
You bet. But first, we're going back home. So the day after you're in Philadelphia on the 10th, you're going to do a matinee sold out on the 11th in Charlotte at the Coliseum. And here you'll see you take on Barry Windham. Once again, Barry Windham gets the win over you. This is recorded for Japanese TV. But that night, you're working with Ollie against the Rock and Roll Express. What a 24-hour period that is. Philadelphia, sold out. Matinee in Charlotte, sold out. And that night, in your Madison Square Garden as a little kid, the Omni, working with the Rock and Roll Express, pretty damn good day, even if you did, unfortunately, go 0 for 3 and lose 3 times.
You had to throw that in there, didn't you? You just couldn't help yourself. You could have went on and just talked about all the positives on those 3 shots, but no, you had to go with the 0 and 3 thing.
Here's what I know about Arn Anderson. I know, well, I'm not exactly excited to lose, but I'm sure excited if there's an ass every 18 inches. We had 2 out of 3 sell out there. in Charlotte and in Philly. And then we didn't sell out the Omni, but still, it had to be a pretty healthy crowd. Okay, I'll be just fine.
Yeah, I was already starting to think about, we just had Christmas, right? And all those gifts and presents and stuff got me all fired up. Starting thinking about, well, sure, somewhere around here, I should probably get a car.
Yeah.
A new one, a nice one. Just starting to think about it a little bit. So there.
Okay. We keep the train going on the 12th. We're in Greenville, South Carolina with Ron Garvin. We'll go to a draw, do a TV taping on the 13th in Columbia, get plenty of time to do promos there. And then we even do a 6-man. Flair, Tully, and Arn with JJ in their corner are going to take on Hector Guerrero, Danny Brown, and Tim Horner. That's a pretty random group there. Tim Horner, Denny Brown, and Hector Guerrero, is it not?
Yep, but all tremendous performers. Had no ties together whatsoever, nothing in common other than the fact that was, the way the crew was, in those days. Everybody from the first match to the 9th match could work. And that was a prerequisite with, being there and having a job on a crew like that. It was like an all-star team.
Absolutely. On the 14th, you're in Grand Rapids, Michigan. 2,500 fans would see the Rock and Roll Express defeat yourself and Ollie Anderson. We're going to do another taping in Hollywood, Florida at the Sportatorium down there for Super Towns on the Superstation. You won't be in that match, but it is obviously going to be a special you're building towards. And then on the 17th, it's time for a little WTBS. And that, of course, means it's the weekend and we're going to have some promos. But before we play some Horseman stuff, let's hear it from Dusty on Worldwide, the syndicated show on January 17th.
Rose Dusty, a lot going on, the big Bubba, but I got to ask you, and I know the fans want to know what you think about the big red machine, the Russian assassin, Vladimir Pietrov.
Well, I'm getting ready to tell you what I think about a whole lot of things. Pietrov, when you came to this country and you landed at JFK, Kennedy Airport, New York City, you should have had a lump in your throat when you got off, Daddy. Because you're walking on free land. Nikita Koloff chose to be free, chose to run in this land and reap whatever he could to be free. And he is Maggie May and mine's responsibility. So Ivan Koloff, when you bring him for Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. Bring it for me. I want him. I want him first. Yeah, Charles. Well, you don't make no bones about it, Ivan Koloff. I'm going to get it done. Now then, everybody comes out and tells you like it is. On this side, Arn Anderson said, everybody's the best. On this side, everybody's the best. On this side, they got more money. On this side, we don't dress as clean, but we live in bigger houses. The sergeant in arms himself, Animal. My brother of the street, Hawk, my brother of the street, and Paul Ellering, my personal financial advisor, told me that now they have a new club. It's called Space Mountainettes. Well, that's true. Everybody got music. That's true. Anderson got some new music. All you kids, all the ladies, all the women, listen to this now. From now on in the arenas, I want you singing this for Double A Arn Anderson. This is his new music. Hi-ho, hi-ho, it's off to work we go. With the ho, hi-ho, 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 hi-ho.
Dusty Rhodes fan, let's go back to the ring.
Did he just call me one of the 7 dwarfs?
I don't know.
What did you get from that?
I'm going to make that my ringtone. Him singing,
Oh, hi ho, off to work we go.
that is tremendous, dude.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one, wasn't it? I think that's one of those that you just sit there and you get red in the face. It's kind of hard to just make a comeback on that, ain't it?
I mean, how do you do anything to that but laugh? And yeah, I don't know what to say. but I do know that the Horsemen had a promo on this same show. This is worldwide. Let's see if Blair and Dusty are going to try to play Can You Top This? I don't know. Let's take a look.
James J. Dillon right here, fans.
You know, I noticed that everybody comes out here on television, they're talking about the four horsemen. That means we must be somebody and we must be doing something right. And I'm listening to Ronnie Garvin standing out here talking about the horsemen ganging up on people. I think what has actually happened in this case is the Great American Bash last July, the tape fist matches with Tully Blanchard, he got hit so hard, so many times, he thought he was being hit by four people. Right, chap? Bingo! Garvin, you were down for the count. But you know, Barry Windham, you want to come out here and you want to attack me in my match on national television from behind. Well, I'm not going to tell no lies. The four horsemen can attack from behind in force better than anybody. But we can also, one-on-one or any combination, walk that aisle better than anybody. We are what makes professional wrestling go round. Connell, let me clear something up for you. Everybody on this side says they're the best. Everybody on this side says they're the best. If everybody was perfect and everybody was the best, there would be no winners, there would be no losers. The whole scheme of professional athletics is based on human error. You understand what I'm saying? Human error. Without human error, no winners, no losers. Well, if you think any one of you think because I'm not a champion yet, I will assure you one thing. In 1987, I'm no weak leak. I'm a horseman. That makes me a champion. I'm a member of the finest, most elite fight unit in the whole world. Tell them, champ. And here's our goals. In case there's any doubt, we're tired. I hear about the Rock and Roll Express and that video and that big sign. Next week, if you want to be somebody, you join the Space Mountainets because the four horsemen thrive on the good life. One brow is just a woo. Woo.
I love Tully doing the whole spin around where it makes the wrestling world go around. And he literally just did a 360. And then there's Rick in his ridiculous Lakers jacket. You guys were just having fun here. That's all this is.
Well, and everybody was different.
Yeah.
I mean, you cut those out, the single promos, every one of them was completely different. And I think that's what made us so successful, so entertaining, so fun to watch. You know, everybody had their own shtick and nobody was trying to copy anybody else. It was, you were who you were.
No doubt about it. And the Horsemen were one of a kind. We're going to hear from them not once, but twice on WCW. Let's take a listen. This is World Championship Wrestling, the 605 show.
The man with the money, James J. Dillon, and along with members of the Four Horsemen.
You saw a little situation earlier today involving the World Heavyweight Champion, Nature Boy Ric Flair and Barry Windham, that disturbed me a little bit. And once again, Dusty Rhodes was out there with a Rock and Roll Express around the ring to try and intimidate a few people. But you don't intimidate the Four Horsemen. And we're out here once again in the showing of unity. And everywhere you look around, you see championship belts, you see money. And I always feel real good when I look over my left shoulder and I see one of the pillars of professional wrestling. I'm talking, of course, about Ollie Anderson.
Well, you know, when you talk about people interfering, you mentioned one guy's name that hits me every time I think about wrestling. I'm talking about you, Rhodes. And you got another guy that's running around with you, interfering just a little bit more than he should. And I'm talking about Barry Windham. Sometimes we make a mistake when all four horsemen are together. We figure maybe you're going to go by the rules. But it doesn't happen that way. It seems funny. We're the ones that are always accused of breaking the rules. But as soon as we end up with three horsemen or two horsemen somewhere, somebody jumps in. And Windham, you made a big, big mistake. Jumping in on a four horsemen's business is going to cost you a nose because we're going to cut that nose off right around your neck. I make a warning to you like I've made to some other people, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but we're going to get it done. And when we do, there's going to be four men and a manager, the Four Horsemen and James J. Dillon, that are going to be at the top of the wrestling heap. and Windham and Garvin and you especially, Rhodes, and all of your friends are going to be at the bottom of the heap looking at the kings of the hill, the Four Horsemen and James J. Dillon. Right here. Unity is what it's all about, and the Horsemen are here.
All right, the Four Horsemen.
Totally different style promo when Ollie's sort of leading the song and dance, is it not?
Right to the point.
Yes.
No wasted words, no flowery sprucing up of the content, just straightforward. Here's the way it is.
Did Ollie like being a horseman?
I think he did. I don't think he liked working the schedule, which he didn't. You know, if he would have been in every town every day, you know, they kind of booked him off in some towns that were inconsequential. They were already starting to do that. He didn't, you know, and hey, let's face it, Ollie's 10 years older than me, roughly. He was not, you know, he got 7 kids at home. He got a family. He's been there, done that. He's made a lot of money, saved a lot of money at this point in time. He's pretty much set. I think he was enjoying, you know, especially the big towns and all that. But for a full schedule, no chance.
I just wondered in terms of Ric Flair's personality, you know, you guys partying, and, you know, listen, Ollie did shoot interviews years ago where he said he couldn't fucking stand Ric Flair and that he booked him out because he didn't want him in the territory because he thought, you know, it was the same old shit every night. And the longer the match, the better. And it was bitter Ollie that everybody listening to this is at least familiar with. And some of that is just his personality. And some of that may have been how he really felt, but it's been also said that when it came time to, you know, raising hell at the bar and carrying on and all that, Ollie was not really a part of all that. That was not really his jam. And it's always just, I love his promos and I think it really adds to your tag team presentation, but it almost feels like which one of these is not like the other.
Yeah, I mean, Ollie didn't stay at Marriott's. You know, Ollie traveled pretty much by himself. You know, he was a different guy. He was more mature than obviously all of us. And he was there to, you know, to work, make his money, go back to his hotel, you know, go to bed, start over the next day. He wouldn't have, I don't remember a time wherever he came down to the Marriott bar and had a drink with the guys. It was just something we understood. And I might have asked him once or twice, you know, or if we're riding together or something after the arena back to the, you know, to the hotel. Hey, you know, you want to come in for a beer or two before you go back to your place? And hey, you know, he was a proponent, which a lot of the smart veterans back then, hey, save your money, kid. Quit blowing your money, save your money. And he did. And he saved a bunch of it. And I made a bunch of it. And he was very, very smart about that. And I would say, you want to come in for a beer? I'm buying. And he would just give me that look like, well, you stupid son of a bitch. Get out. I'd get out, get my bag. I'd go in. He'd go to his hotel and do his own thing.
Let's listen to another Horseman promo the very same day. This time Flair's around.
All right, here we are. Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, Tully Blanchard, James J. Dillon.
You know, Tony Joy, there are several truths where the world of professional wrestling are concerned is. There is one truth. That is, you have Dusty Rhodes, his stooge, Nikita Koloff, Ronnie Garvin, Barry Windham, Wahoo McDaniels, Rock and Roll Express. You have them all over here. They claim to be the best. Then you have the Four Horsemen and the Midnight Express. Ivan Koloff, Petrov on this side. They all claim to be the best. But the bottom line is the whole scheme of professional sports is based on one thing. That's called human error. If we're all the best and they're all the best, then there could never be a winner. So how we differentiate right with Dusty Rhodes, Nikita Koloff, if we're not 4 or 5 egos pulling apart, we're one unit. We're the Four Horsemen. We train together. We party together. We wrestle together. We do everything as one unit. And what you just saw right there was Tully Blanchard displaying just one segment of our technique. You look at myself. You look at The Rock. You look at our mainstay, the world heavyweight champion, the brains. We are the elite, and it's no wonder that Lex Luger wants to be one, Dusty Rhodes. So don't scratch your head and wonder. He just made the best choice possible. You know, Tony Schiavone, the one thing that you have to listen to is the Horsemen do this, and they've done that. But, you know, nobody can beat Blair. Nobody can beat me. Nobody can beat Arn. But, you know, when the Horsemen get attacked from behind, we can attack from behind better than anybody. We can do the lowest things better than anybody. But we can also look across that ring, eyeball to eyeball, and do wrestling, just what it says on the marquee. Wrestling better than anybody. That's why we can stand up here and brag and talk about the trophies, because we got them. We got the women, the money, the limos. We got it all. And that's what it's all about. We got it all. That's why we're the Horsemen. Hey, let's see Barry Windham fill these.
And we'll see you next week.
And the show goes off the air with the big lizard shoes, which Flair has said on more than one occasion cost more than your house. Not yours in particular, but what a line to say on TV. My shoes cost more than your house. I assume whoever he was aiming that to lived in a tent. I don't know, but
You get the point.
you get the idea. He's doing okay. January 17th, the same day where we have this TV taping, we find ourselves back in Charlotte at the Coliseum. It's going to be Flair, Tully, and Arn taking on Tim Horner, Hector Guerrero, and Denny Brown. Greensboro, the very same day, we're doing a double shot, I guess triple if you count TV. Arn Anderson is going to beat Tim Horner, who's actually a substitute for Baron von Raschke. And then we're back to the Civic Center in Asheville for a matinee show. And check this out. Lex Luger is going to team with Arn Anderson to take on Denny Brown and Ricky Lee Jones. This is what we were alluding to before. Lex Luger is here. What was your first impression of Flexi Lexi?
So this is his first appearance.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's making the debut here in January. I believe his actual first appearance was on TBS. I could be wrong on that. But a couple of days later, this is the first time you're in the same ring with him, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so no overlooking the obvious, right? My God, what a body.
Yeah.
What a look. I mean, I call it like it is. The guy walked in the room, your jaw hit the ground.
Oh, for sure.
In those days, he was, him, I would say, and, Ultimate Warrior and the Road Warriors, they were
And
barbarian.
Kerry Von Erich was up there.
Kerry Von Erich, Warlord, Barbarian. I mean, these guys are all incredible. Luger had that look, but it wasn't like just a steroided up, over the top, too muscled up look. It was a pleasing look. He had a good tan, good hair, all those things he dressed, looked good in his clothes, looked good in his tights. He was a hell of a presentation when he walked in the room, no matter what it was. And, the fact that he had been working out some with Hiro Matsuda without ever watching him wrestle, I would have said, well, he's got to have a good foundation. What we found out when he came to us was he was very green.
Yeah. And
we all have been very green at different times.
Sure.
No crime there, but I mean, the guy looked the part and he was big. He had, we just got bits and pieces of it. The guys, played pro football. He had a lot of accolades, strong in the weight room, all that stuff. So, I mean, he was the total package walking in the door.
And we're off to the next town. It's just another day in the life. On the 20th, we are going to be doing a TV taping here where you're doing a bunch of promos in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And then on the 24th, boy, we're back to Atlanta to do some more TV. We would see Lex Luger defeat Randy Mulkey here in a torture rack in 1:39. And then Tony Schiavone is going to be conducting an interview with J.J. Dillon, with Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson, where Dillon is going to say there's no plans to expand the Horsemen. Now, why does this come up? The first time we hear from Lex Luger, he's saying his goal is to become a horseman. That's an interesting little wrinkle, is it not? You've never really even broached the subject of we're going to add members or take members away. I know eventually Ollie's going to get kicked out, and we know eventually there will be new members, and it becomes a little bit of a rotation for a bit. But at this point, that's never happened. It would be a little bit like if someone said, yeah, we're going to add a third member to the Rock and Roll Express, or we're going to invite someone else to be a road warrior permanently, not just like Dusty paying up as a one-off for a special show. But that's an interesting concept. This is years before the NWO is growing, expanding, and adding members. What do you think about the idea of, wait a minute, it might not just be us four? What do you think of that concept?
Yeah, I think it was shocking. You know, that was to the naked eye. When you first hear it, you go, well, I never heard of that. Like you said, that wasn't ever in the cards. Felt a little bit pompous, but it also, if you're in the back of your mind, since it hadn't happened and it came out of nowhere, it's like angle alert, major angle alert. And I would think that the people that were, you know, our fans that are pretty smart, they started going, where are they going with this? And maybe at that point, they started thinking about, well, you know, Arn has been talking about individual success and Ollie's talking about this and that. Maybe all those promos suddenly started to make more sense. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it was no one was thinking that much into it or going that deep into it yet.
So after JJ says we're not looking to expand, he sticks around to watch Luger's match. And then afterwards, he goes over to Luger, whispers something in his ear, shakes his hand. And then from there, Schiavone conducts an interview with Lex Luger. And Lex says something like his phone's been ringing off the hook since he made his national debut, but he wants to be a horseman. And a few minutes later, Barry Windham comes out looking for Luger and says Luger does not want to be a member of the Horsemen. And Luger takes exception to Barry Windham coming into his interview time. After Windham leaves, Luger says Windham needs to grow up. There's more to life than blue jeans and car payments. What a line that is, huh?
That's pretty stout. Of course, Barry did have a white convertible Porsche.
And a bunch of blue jeans.
And a ton of blue jeans. Imagine that Porsche was a pretty penny. It was a 911. You would know. I don't know.
Yeah, a 911 is the cream of the crop when it comes to Porsche.
I know it was sharp as hell and would fly because he blew by me on many a highway.
Unfortunately, things are not looking up here for Mr. Brad Armstrong. We're going to have a bit of a horseman attack. Let's take a listen here. It's from June 24th, 1987.
Okay, Brad, let's all take a look right now. What happened to Brad Armstrong? Here we are with Brad Armstrong, and Brad, good to see you again.
Well, thank you very much, Tony. You know, what you just saw was an awesome force of professional wrestling. The Four Horsemen, a part of the Four Horsemen.
Oh, here's the world champion, Ric Blair.
Mr. Brad Armstrong, nice to see you, but you're on my interview time.
Excuse me,
I've
sir.
made arrangements to be out here. This is my interview time. You don't have any place anywhere near the set when I'm out here. People are here to listen to me talk. No, you asked for nothing. You have nothing to say.
I was asked to be out here.
Talking about Barry. Off the set.
Listen, with all due respect,
Off the set, I told you.
I was asked to be out here for this time. They told me to come out here for this time.
Tony Schiavone. Dusty Rhodes. Nikita and
Stick of your mouth, and you can talk a whole lot, brother. If you want to get it on, BA is ready. I was brought up in a wrestling family. I can't stand out here and talk word for word with you, but I can get in that wrestling ring and go move for move.
You
any day of the week.
Anything with me. Tony Schiavone.
Do it right now. You got
Dusty Rhodes.
right now.
Nikita Koloff. Don't get in my face again. You are going to make an ultimate mistake. You are way too far in the youth of your career. All right.
And there comes Tully. 2-on-1. There's Arn, 3-on-1. Ollie, 4-on-1. They're taking turns. Got the chair set up. Gourd Buster on the chair.
What in the world?
And keep in mind, I like Brad.
Man, Brad Armstrong, you know, in more recent years, fans have started to post his picture a little bit more because people say, God, he looks just like Kenny Omega. Behind the scenes, he's one of the most beloved figures in the history of wrestling. Was he not?
Absolutely. And one of the finest performers, the smoothest guys you'll ever be in the ring with. I mean, he's as good as anybody. Incredible.
And, you know, it's a shame that we never really got to see him spread his wings all the way, but my goodness, what a tremendous performer he was. And, well, let's take a look at some promos from the, it's Flair versus Windham here on World Championship Wrestling. And, we're going to have some words after. As a reminder, Flair and Windham in '86 had a Battle of the Belts show. How timely is it? We're talking about Battle of the Belts, given what AEW's doing these days, down in Florida, that Dave Meltzer called the best hour of TV he ever saw. A lot of people believed, especially in this era, that Barry Windham and Ric Flair were sort of 1A and 1B, the best wrestlers in the world. And we're seeing the end of a very strong match with our referee, Tommy Young, here. And it looks like it's a time limit draw.
No. Well, better not speak for itself. Let's not speak for itself, brother. There's no doubt, brother.
Okay, Tommy Young, as you take a look at Barry Windham, Tommy Young is talking to Tom Miller to make an announcement here. Has expired. The match has been declared a draw. World Heavyweight Champion.
So just for a minute, Barry got to hold the big gold belt and hold it over his head, but unfortunately time expired. He's got the mic now.
You know, I'll tell you something. This belt right here will very well belong to me someday, but I'm not going to walk out here with it until I get the 3 count. 1, 2, 3 on Ric Flair, the World Heavyweight Champion.
Okay. Hey, what an event that was. Ric Flair, Barry Windham, World Heavyweight title. And understandably, when Ric Flair got to the dressing room, he was very happy, relieved that he still had that World Heavyweight title because that was one tremendous event. Let's take a look and go to Bob Caudle now, who was in the dressing room with Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen right after that match.
And we're in the dressing room of the world champion, surrounded by the Horsemen. Champ, you're still champ, but only by about that much now.
It appears to me that Barry Windham's trying to kiss a girl in the wrong neighborhood. In other words, Barry Windham, you made the mistake of jumping on one of the Horsemen. You see what's going on right now, Windham, is you're in the other dressing room with your head between your legs, a loser. There's winners, there's losers. This is the winner. You are the loser. We got 50 girls standing outside our dressing room door looking for the winners. You know why? Because we are the Horsemen. We are the champions. All for one, Horsemen, and one for all, Dusty Rhodes. Whether you like it or not, boss, if you're smart, you'll check this crew out for a long, long time.
See you next week, fans.
Okay, Barry, you've heard the comment from Ric Flair. He said you made a mistake. It appears you didn't make any mistake at all. It appears you really have the man's number.
Well, Tony, first of all, you know the world champion is the best wrestler in the whole world. He is the world heavyweight champion. I will not take that away from him. But Ric Flair, your days are numbered. I will tell you, we went the time limit. There were times where if I'd have been moving a little faster, I could have beat you. So, Ric Flair, keep it in mind. You might have all the girls outside your locker room, but you're looking at the next world heavyweight champion right here. I'll go the time limit with you anytime, an hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours, and I know you can do it too. But one of these days, I'm going to catch you right in the middle of the ring with a 3 count, and you're going to be singing the blues just like you thought I was doing. I was happy that we did what we did, and that I was able to go with you. And now I know myself, just like all these people out here, except for a select few, they know that I can beat you, and it's coming very soon.
Okay, Barry Windham. right with us on World Championship Wrestling. What an event. We're coming back with the Four Horsemen and much more. Don't you go away.
So the Barry Windham thing is really heating up. You guys go to a commercial break, and when you come back, we hear the Horsemen respond.
Hey, Dylan, and two of the Four Horsemen.
You know, it was really great to see Ric Flair once again successfully defend the World Heavyweight Championship. He is the greatest heavyweight champion of all time, and he is the mainstay of the Four Horsemen, if you would, a very elite group. Each and every member is important. Ollie and Arn Anderson are tag team wrestling. I don't care who's holding the title at any given point. The Andersons are tag team wrestling. And when you look at Tully Blanchard, the world television champion, if you really think about it, how many people every night they go out, not only put their reputation on the line, not only put their title on the line, but we're talking about $100 bills. We're talking about $10,000. And I don't care if you're a doctor or a lawyer or what you are, $10,000 is a lot of bucks to put on the line each and every night. You know, JJ, you said it just exactly that. But you know, you want to get down what a horseman is. You know, a lot of talk going around. Lex Luger wants to be a horseman. This guy wants to be a horseman. JJ's getting flooded in his office with letters of people wanting to be a horseman. Well, there's only 4. And you know what? Being a horseman, 24 hours a day, right? Double A. When we wake up, we're a horseman. When we're at the gym, we're a horseman. When we're out at 3 o'clock in the morning with all the pretty ladies, we're a horseman. When we walk in any coliseum around the world, coast to coast, we are the Horsemen. And we make professional wrestling what it is today. That's why we can come out here on national television. Let's make one point real clear. Lex Luger is a magnificent athlete, and I think it's a great tribute to the Horsemen that he would even go public and make a statement like that. But each and every member of the Four Horsemen, as it exists right now, is an integral part of an elite group, and we're tight, and we're staying together, and we do not plan to expand at this time.
Okay. Those words from James J. Dillon and members of
I love he's reiterating, we are not expanding.
Nice hook.
Yeah.
Angle alert.
Man.
At that time, Conrad, there was probably a dozen guys in the world, and there was a lot of wrestlers back then that could do an hour and do it the way it needed to be done. So, you know, my God, what a honor it is to both of those guys that they were able to pull off an incredible match like that. And it's not just survive an hour. It's, you know, it's have those spurts where you go into overdrive and it looks like this guy's going to win. And then you settle back into a control situation. And God, you got maybe 6-7 minutes left and the momentum changes and looks like the other guy's going to win. Then you build into this back and forth fight that just takes you all the way to the end. And it's like to the last second, you don't know which way it's going. That was such an art back then. There's very few people that could understand what an hour needs to be, much less pull off wrestling one.
You would end that show, the TBS show, with a win over Bill Tabb in 1 minute and 37 seconds. And then immediately Tony Schiavone does an interview with Lex Luger where he's well-dressed and talks about he wants to be a member of the Horsemen. So we keep that up and keep it going as we move into the last week of January 1987. On the 24th, you're going to get a win over Jimmy Valiant in Richmond. And then there's an interesting story. Maybe you can tell us about this one. Washington, D.C., you're at the Armory. There's 5,000 people there. As the story goes, according to the history of WWE.com, Bobby Eaton, Dennis Condrey, Jim Cornette, and Dusty Rhodes were flown in immediately after their matches into Richmond. The preliminary matches were told to go long to buy them time. Intermission lasted an hour. And as a result, the main event went on at 11:50 p.m. You're going to be here in action, taking on Barry Windham. Do you remember this situation where, we may have got our routing a little screwed up? Buy us some time.
Yeah, it was one of those deals where was just getting greedy, I guess, to book 2 towns at the same time and have a group of talent be on both of them. Man, that's going to be a tight squeeze because I assure you those guys went on early in the first town, threw on a sweatshirt, didn't bother unlacing their boots, headed right out the door. I'm sure there was a couple limos waiting for them. Took them straight to the private plane and straight to Richmond. And still, even that, you got to take into account traffic and all kind of things that, let's just say the jet was scheduled to go off at a certain time or take off, and okay, they're in a ground hold. I don't remember the specifics of it, but I just remember it was very, very tight. It was a lot to juggle for sure.
Next up, we know that we're going to be dragging a little bit because it was a late night. So, of course, let's do TV the next day. It's going to be a marathon day. You're going to do a bunch of interviews, and then you're actually going to be wrestling. It'll be Tully, Ollie, and Arn taking on Tim Horner, George South, and what's listed here on the history of WWE.com as an unknown. It's not unknown what you're doing next, though. You're going to be losing to Ron Garvin in Odessa, Texas on the 28th. On the 29th, you're back at the Great Western Forum. You had 10,000 folks last time, only 4,750 here in Inglewood. But you and Barry are going to go to a no contest. On the 30th, the very next day, you're zigzagging all the way back over to St. Louis, Missouri. And you finally get your match with Nikita Koloff. It's the co-main event. The only folks who go on last after you are Ric Flair and Barry Windham for the world title. And they go 55 minutes. So this is going to be, what'd you call it? Super Bowl for you and Cue Ball?
Yeah, we finally meet, huh?
Well, I mean, your face met his
in
bicep.
St. Louis. What now?
Your face met his bicep. I don't imagine there was much offense here in this match for you.
Yeah, we already had a little history together and been mixed it up a few times. He was a big physical guy, no doubt about it. You knew that going in, which I don't mind that. I don't mind it being physical. With Nikita, he would clothesline you in the nose or in the chin, and he had some torque behind it. He put some mustard on it. So
mustard.
Yes, sir. I will not dispute that. And if we went on before Flair and Barry in St. Louis, which is a wonderful wrestling town, I'm sure we gave it our all and had a pretty damn good match ourselves, if I was guessing.
I would guess with them going 55, yours was probably a quick affair.
I don't know. Did they have times listed?
No, they don't have times listed here for that one. I wish
probably,
they did.
Probably 10, which is pretty quick for a semi-main event.
But it's also long for a Nikita match too. I mean, he was sort of, especially on TV. I know it's not a TV taping, but boy, those poor guys, they were not long for this world.
Okay, he probably beat me in a minute 32. There it is. I tried to address it and smoke screen it. You just ain't having. You're not having it today. You're calling me on all of my shit.
On some level, that's got to be a blessing. I can go out here and get blown up and get my head tore off for 10 minutes, or I can get out here and take one good wallop, play dead, and hit the next town.
Yeah, I'd rather be like in a foxhole and take like a sniper bullet to the head and just slump down the hill in the hole. You know what I mean? Than run across some lot and get my leg blown off and be dragging myself along. Somebody shoots off my pinky finger and then somebody shoots off my toe. Just go ahead and finish it.
Yeah. Well, at least Nikita would do that for you. We're going to finish this episode, but first we got some promos to play from the very last day of the month. January has 31 days, and we squeezed yet another TV in here. Here's an Andersons and Horseman promo from Worldwide on January 31st, 1987.
Right, you are, Tony Schiavone, and here they are, Ollie and Arn Anderson. Ollie?
I look around at some of the people that are wearing belts, tag belts, for instance. Almost makes me embarrassed. If they think that they're the best that wrestling has to offer, well, they better think again. You take a look at us. You take a look at the Wrecking Crew, the Andersons. Now you're looking at the best. Some people talk about maybe the guy's been around a long while. You're darn right I have. And you know what that means? That means experience. You take experience, you take youth, you combine strength with agility. And I'll tell you what, it's an unbeatable combination. Anybody thinks otherwise, just get in the ring with the Andersons. We're the champions. We're the best wrestling has to offer. And one of these days, when all these other champions quit running and we get a chance to sign our name on the dotted line, you're going to see exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about champions, the Andersons, the Wrecking Crew, and the Four Horsemen.
Let me explain it to you graphically. Let me say it where it can be understood. You see, there's two elite groups in all of professional wrestling. There's what we call the Four Horsemen: Tully Blanchard, Ric Flair, Ollie and Arn Anderson on this side. And then on this side, we have what we call, very fondly, our resume. That's people like Ronnie Garvin, Rock and Roll Express, Barry Windham, Brad Armstrong, and Dusty Rhodes more than once. By our resume, we mean people that have been injured at the hands of the Four Horsemen. So if you're wondering why all these people like Lex Luger are wanting to be one of the Four Horsemen, it's very simple, pure and simple. They don't want to be on our resume.
All right, and fans, we'll meet all of the Horsemen as well as take a look at Lex Luger when we come back after this time out.
You know what else?
Horseman and James J. Dillon.
Well, this is a very, very precious moment. And right now, all across this country, people are looking at their screens, running to get their video recorders turned on, pushing that record button because they want to save this moment for history. It's not very often that the Four Horsemen are all together at one time. And right now, letters are flooding in by the thousands. Girls all across this country want to put in their applications to be Space Mountainettes, and that's the very reason that Lex Luger, the great superstar that he is, has been sitting aside. He knows quality when he sees it. He would love to be amongst us rubbing elbows with a world heavyweight champion, with a world television champion, with a team that are synonymous with tag team wrestling, the greatest tag team of all time, the Andersons. Who else? And of course, the person that I'm talking about that would love to be a part of this elite group is none other than Lex Luger. We're a tight unit. We do not plan to expand, but we do recognize greatness. And let's face it, Lex Luger is a great athlete.
All right, and you're talking about Lex Luger. So right here, fans, let's take a look at Lex.
So the tease for Lex Luger continues, man. How about that?
Yeah, and you know what else that day was?
What's that?
That's Aaron's birthday,
Oh, how about that?
January 31st.
Y'all got big plans later this month, or can you share here on the show?
I can't tell you.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. Well, I can tell you that you guys weren't done cutting promos. Let's do one from you and Tully here on Pro. Same weekend, January 31st.
Ray Jumol against the Rock and Roll Express. Members of the Four Horsemen will be at television taping that night in Raleigh.
What would television taping be without the Four Horsemen, Tony Giovanni? Have you ever thought about the dog?
That's exactly what it is.
What we're trying to explain to you, pure and simple. We dress better. We drive finer cars. We live in nicer houses. We're better athletes. And as a unit, we're the finest wrestling machine on the face of the earth. Without the Four Horsemen, wrestling starts to non-exist. Tell them, Tully.
You know, Double A, that's just exactly right. And one of the Four Horsemen is going to take Barry Windham. You know, the whole wrestling world, the whole United States, in a big uproar. Barry Windham came this close to beating Ric Flair. But you know, close only counts in horseshoes. Isn't that right? Okay. You know, if you don't get the job done, you're just like many others. You're this much short of Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and Ollie Anderson, the Four Horsemen. That's like going out with a girl and almost getting the job done, but that don't get it. And no Raleigh Dorton Arena, they're also going to see, you know, and you and I talked about it just a little while ago. It's a tremendous honor and privilege that a man of Lex Luger's status would want to be a horseman. He's put everything aside, his career, everything. He says, I will be a horseman. And you know, that's a flattering remark.
Well, you know, Tully, if you look at yourself, you look at myself, you look at Blair, you look at The Rock, it's no wonder anybody wouldn't want to be a horseman. The fact that Luger is a superstar, magnificent physical specimen, has nothing to do with it. From the little kids right up to the old people, everybody is looking for a hero. And gentlemen, if you want a role model, you want a hero, you want somebody to pattern your life after, you look at Tully Blanchard, world television champion, myself, Blair, and The Rock. We're it, pure and simple.
Man, you and Tully had a different vibe than you and Ollie, did you not?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Tully makes me mad to this day.
Let my family save your family some cash. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need money out of your pocket, but we will save you money. It's not a matter if, it's a matter of how much. SaveWithConrad.com. Oh, he's unbelievably talented. And the idea that he was gone from wrestling for so long, and it's like when he picked it up, it's like he never left. He never, you know, they say, oh, it's like riding a bicycle. For Tully Blanchard, it was bam, he's right back in. It's 1987 all over again.
You know why it's so easy? That's who he is.
Yeah. Well, of course, you guys are both Horsemen, and we've talked about it enough. Let's finish with a Horseman promo here from January 31st, 1987, and then we'll wrap this week's episode up as we get ready for February of 87 coming up next week. Here we go.
You're gonna pay the price. And right now, I need you willing to pay for this television time to go back and let everybody be reminded of what happened to Barry Windham, and let it serve as an example that if you want to come up and confront one of us, the same thing could very well happen to you. Let's take a look. Ollie Blanchard, as you said, successfully defended the world television title, and the world heavyweight champion showed what a diversified athlete he is by going in the ring and tag team commentation with one of the Andersons, so I know he had to feel good.
Barry Windham.
Luger, one last time. Now, I can't believe you're doing it. You can't believe that you're associated with this man right here. You don't need to do this at all. Let me tell you something. I've been sitting back and I haven't uttered a word up to this point, but you've been throwing in something. I'll tell you.
So that's Lex Luger attacking Barry Windham. He just ripped his shirt off and destroyed the podium. Now he's throwing him back towards the ring. And now JJ's jumping in. So now it's JJ and Lex Luger putting the beat down on Barry Windham. For what it's worth, Barry Windham is wearing jeans, cowboy boots, and he was wearing a polo. Lex Luger, though, black trunks. Maybe it's a little sign. But how about that, man? We see a little beat down, and now the Horsemen are back.
Horseman along with Lex Luger.
This is a elite group.
Barry shouldn't have went that far.
I look at up here at the monitor. This man really helps fill out the picture. Wouldn't you say so, Double A? Pure and simple, like we told you, Rhodes. You wonder why Lex Luger wants to be affiliated with a Horseman? It's pure and simple. The places you go that they let you in with holes in your blue jeans, those nasty boots, and one of those big goofy 10-gallon hats. You can't get in. The places we go, they require a coat and tie. You're talking about quality athletes. You look at Tully Blanchard, world television champion. You look at the mecca of manhood, Ric Blair, world heavyweight champion. You look at myself in the Rock. We're a synchronized, polished unit. We will sacrifice one of us to get the eventual end. And you're talking about masterminds. Right here it is. All in closing, let me say this. Everybody on this earth wakes up every day of their life wishing they were somebody else. Well, you look around at us, we're just ecstatic being ourselves. Let me say one last thing. This week we were all in Las Vegas, and up on Caesar's Palace they had Bill Cosby and what was the other guy, Sammy Davis, and all of a sudden I seen the guy out there ripping down letters as fast as he could pull up, and before we left town, it said the 4 Horsemen are in town. Boy, this is a special moment right here. Let's join hands. My man, part of it. All right, the Horsemen.
Members of the 4 Horsemen. And what a day this has been for them.
Notice about it next time we're in Las Vegas, buddy. We're going to bring you along and do the play-by-play, Daddy.
We'll see you next week on World.
So there you go. Lex Luger throws his hands in the middle. What does it mean, Arn? Does it mean he's a Horseman? I guess we'll find out next month here.
Well, sure. If I was sitting home, I'd go, now, I wonder what Ollie thinks about this.
Right.
Damn right.
I mean, he's out here talking about tag belts. You're out here talking about Nikitas. It's a situation.
Yeah, and then JJ lends the assist on the Windham deal, so makes you think. Definitely.
It's the snot thickens, and it's going to this Monday night when Alabama rolls up on Georgia and overcomes the odds. Alabama's the underdog. What a weird sentence to say. And
plot thickens, not snot.
Oh,
that's disgusting. Plot. Plot thickens.
Oh yeah. I guess maybe that's right. Well, there's no mistaking this. Alabama's going to whoop that ass, and I'm going to spike the ball on you next week and brag about it and talk shit. And if I'm wrong, then we'll replay this and you can just laugh for the first 30 minutes as we talk about February of 87. How's that?
I'm going to stay humble. I'm going to stay laying in the weeds till that game is over, and we'll see.
By the way, in real life, of course, I'm having fun just giving you shit here, but my goodness, we've been so blessed as Alabama fans. I'm okay if y'all win. Here's what I hope for most of all.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Don't start that shit.
No, I swear. Now, my dad, on the other hand, my dad would string me up if he heard me saying that. But dude, I got to see a championship in 92 and then in 09, and I thought I'm all set. And now over these last, 13 years, it's been an incredible run. I can't imagine the good fortune that we've had. And it's about time it ends. I'm like the rest of the nation, like, this is not sustainable. Surely, eventually, someone beats him, and that someone did. Texas A&M had his number earlier this year. He lost to an assistant, so I guess another assistant, Mr. Smart, could pull it off. And the first time Georgia was a favorite, the second time Georgia's a favorite. I wouldn't be surprised, based on the way they manhandled Michigan the other day, if they beat Alabama. But I don't think it'll be a lopsided affair. I think it comes down to those last 5 minutes of the game either way.
Did I see a stat which was the telling of them all? 27 assistants have fallen. Only one has beat Alabama.
Only one assistant has ever come back and beat Nick Saban. It happened earlier this year in that Texas A&M game. It's not happened outside of that ever.
27 and one?
Something like that.
It's overwhelming.
Yes.
See, you could be humble and we would be able to swallow this whole Alabama thing a lot better, but you are kicking us right in the teeth every chance you get.
Well, I only do it to you and Tony because y'all are Georgia fans. But, like I want Georgia to win every game but one. I want Auburn to win every game but one. I'm not one of those, I hope they lose every game. Like Tony Schiavone, he has a lot of hate in his heart. He hates Florida. He hates Tennessee. He hates Auburn. He hates everybody.
He has bailed on sports.
Dude,
ask him, are you going to watch? You're going to watch pro this weekend? No, hell with it. Going to watch college football? Any of it? And not Georgia, but any? Nah, I piss on it.
You know what he does now? Do you know what he does?
What?
He plays video games all day long.
Oh Jesus, he has buckled and fell in as part of this new, whatever you want to call him, this new group.
Well, he's Benjamin Button. I've joked that Charles Robinson was Benjamin Button because he doesn't age. It's like he's going backwards. But Tony Schiavone really is. I mean, all of a sudden his hair's darker. I don't know how that keeps happening every 3 to 4 weeks. It gets a little darker. I don't know what's up with that. And he's playing video games like he's a 12-year-old. But he's 50 years older than that.
His hair's thicker. He's actually got good hair, which is a bullshit deal. When you're me, you're okay. You're all right.
That's because of Keeps. He got in front of it and he started using Keeps. And it's too late for you, but it's not too late for our listeners. So the promo code. Anyway, we're sidetracked. Boys and girls, we had a great time today talking about 1987. I'm excited to cover this year because for all the great success and highs that we had in 86, we're going to have our fair share of interesting moments in 87, some interesting business decisions. And then in 88, things start to unravel a little bit. So the story continues as we travel through Arn Anderson's whole career. We'll pick it up next week as we talk about February of 87 right here on Arn. If you've got a question or you want to participate or you're looking for bonus content, follow us on Twitter at The Arn Show. The best way to introduce the wrestling fan in your life to our podcast is our YouTube channel. And of course, we've got lots of bonus content, including interactive events. Heck, I think last month you and Dax from FTR sat down and watched a little tag team wrestling together, right?
Yes, we did. It was the famous Andersons versus Rock and Roll Cage match from Greensboro. And brother, they took a tremendous ass whooping and still won the match.
Great stuff. Hope you guys check it out. It's adfreeshows.com. You get all of our shows early and ad free. Until next time, I am it's Conrad. We are at the Arn Show and we're out of time. We'll see you next week right here
on Arn.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money, it's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.